Depending on the type of value in a variable, we can apply various different operators to them. For example, with numbers, we can use arithmetic operators like addition, multiplication, divide, or subtraction, or whatever you want, and so on. For example, here we have got two variables with integer values. So the first one is count is equal to the value of 10. Then the next is another variable, we are assigning it a value 2. Then we use this function known as var_dump and $sign use the variable, and we are going to add it with this another variable known as size. Don't forget to close your statement with semicolon. Then we just save the file and open it in browser. As you can see, we have an integer value with 12. So what just happened? So the 10 plus 2 is equal to 12. So this is just happened. Okay, now the next thing is we can also multiply. If I just copy it and change the operator, well, these operators known as arithmetic operators. So we just change this operator into multiplication and then just save the file and refresh. As you can see, this time 10 multiplied by 2 is equal to 20. So we just did some maths with integer values. But we can also do this with floats. So let's assume we have a floating number like 10 point something, and then we have an integer value like 2. Now if I just save this and run this in browser, the type of integer changed into float, and as you can see, we have a dot in between these numbers. That means these are floating numbers. In other languages, this causes an error, but PHP is very forgiving and it evaluates integer value used in the calculation as a float after automatically. There are also operators we can use on string values. For example, if we have two strings with the name of str and then we just change the str, or we just give it a string like the quick, and we have another string code like so, then just we are going to print it out using str with an concatenation operator, that is dot, then we just print with string 2. So here we are just doing concatenation of string 1 with string 2. If I just run this, you can see we have the string 13 characters, and as you can see the quick code, but you can see there is no space, so you can use operator more than once in a single instruction like this. Oops, yeah, like this. So what we just did is, there is the first value of string, then concatenation with a space, then again concatenation with second string. If I just run this in web browser, you can see we have 14 characters of string with a space between these two strings. Okay, so next thing, what do you think will happen when you try to do something like multiplying a string by an integer and then assigning the result of multiplying the variables to the first one? So what I mean is, let's suppose you have a variable of price with a string value having numeric characters, then another variable with quantity of value of numbers like 2 or 3. Now let's suppose I am going to again reassign this value by price multiplied by the quantity like so. Now if I var_dump this price, let's see what the result we are going to print out. As you can see, it is an integer value with 450 number. So when we run this code, we get an integer result. So this is what is contained in this variable now. PHP has changed the type of this variable from string to an integer. This is known as type conversion or type juggling. This is done automatically by PHP. Whenever it is necessary, you can perform an explicit type conversion if you like, which is known as casting. However, it is not very common to have to do that, so we won't worry about that just yet. For Boolean values, we have all logical operators. We can use these to change the value of the Boolean variable or combine different Boolean variables together. For example, if I just remove this code for now, and we have a variable is editor is equal to true, a Boolean value, and another variable with is admin is equal to false, like so. Now, if we print out the first one, we get true. If $var is editor, if we just run this in web browser, we get true value. We can negate this Boolean value using the not operator, which is an exclamation mark in the front of the variable like this. Now if I run the code, you can see Boolean is converted into false. This basically means true is changed to false and false is changed to true. In the browser, we now get the value false. We can also combine Boolean variables using OR operator or using AND operator. For example, if we print out the value of is editor or is admin, so is editor or is admin, if I just run this code, we get true because OR operator needs only a one variable to have a true value to get true. If one of these two variables, any of these two variables have true value, then it returns true and it ignores the false one. But let's say if we have AND operator, now it requires both to have to be true to return true. If we just run this code, now we get false because one of the values, that is admin, returning false. So this is returning this is returning true and this is returning false. So this value returning true. True plus false is equal to false. But if we change this operator into OR operator, then we just need one variable in all of the variables to be true to return true value. So this is the thing. We will cover this in more detail in coming up lectures.